What's going on? You're at the channel of the Debt Free Dad, where we're following my family's financial freedom journey and learning and talking about finances along the way. I'm Marcus, and today's video, we're going to take a look at our family's net worth, see how things evolved from the beginning of the year in 2021 and how we ended up, what progress we made with regard to our net worth in calendar year 2021. I know early on I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this quarterly or something like that. I see some people doing monthly and some people doing quarterly. I don't know. I don't really look at it that often. I'm fine with just looking at it at the beginning of the year to see where I'm at and at the end of the year. I know for the most part, as long as I follow whatever the game plan is with regard to my budget, that the net worth is probably going to be a good outcome when I do pull it up at the end of the year. So I don't really look at it every month. I look at my investments every month because I'm a lunatic, but I don't really calculate my net worth every month. I normally just do it at the beginning of the calendar year, at the end of the calendar year. I might take a sneak peek somewhere in June or July to see where it's at in the middle of the year. Now, before we dive in, I want y'all to go check out a video I'm gonna put in the description below over at my homegirl Judy's channel, Asian American Legal Focus. She has a great channel where she talk a lot about law school, being an attorney, what it's like being an attorney, some of the successes, some of the failures. She have a lot of guests on who talks about different areas on the law. Her and I had an opportunity to kind of do a year in review of crazy legal stories. So I'm not going to ruin them, but we definitely discussed the Juicy Smollett, Jesse Smollett, whatever his name is. We discussed that case. We discussed the case of a high speed doctor who divorced his wife because he found out, or wanted an annulment because he found out she was a high class prostitute, which was crazy. And it was a guy who sued his parents for like throwing away his porn collection, which was freaking insane. But go check it out. I'll put the link to that in the description below. Definitely check it out if you want some legal analysis and a good laugh. Check out that video. Before we jump into the numbers, I actually am putting this video out before I even sit down and talk about what my financial goals are for 2021. Because I mean, I got goals that I could think of off the top of my head, but what I wanted to do was actually sit down, look at the goals, calculate the math to understand what action plan I need to have and steps I need to have to hit those goals on a monthly basis with regard to finances. So I'll probably drop a video showing the financial goals and other goals a little bit later on, maybe the second week of January or early in the third week of January. But I really wanted to just put some thought into it, and so that required me to really take a deep dive, a breakdown, a look into the numbers of the net worth to see where I wanted to, focus all of the efforts on to make progress financially. So now we're about to go ahead and dive into the numbers. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look. I'm going to put the image up on the screen. We're going to look to see where we were back in March of 2021. Okay, in the left column under assets, you see we got everything listed. Then in column B, we have the value. Column C, we have the liability. And column D, we have the net worth of that particular asset that's in that given row. So again, where we were back in March, we had a positive value of $103,000 on our primary resident, a positive value of $90,000 on our rental property. On our property number two, that's a non-rental property, we owned that outright, so we had a positive value of $150,000. Land we own outright, positive value of $40,000. Our retirement and savings account, we kind of just combine those two. We don't really go to make any crazy changes. The combined funds in those accounts were $255,000. My vehicle was worth $17,000. Didn't owe anything on it. My wife's vehicle worth $6,000. My motorcycle worth $3,000. Didn't owe anything on it. And at the bottom, we have those damn student loans. The student loan that we're currently working, student loan number one, that's listed, which is my student loan for law school. In March, it was $102,000. And student loan number two, which we're leaving alone right now, which is for my wife's master's degree, is $130,000. So when we looked at those numbers, our total assets were $1,171,000. Our total liabilities were $739,000, and Our total net worth back in March was $432,000. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to just go ahead, fast forward to December, see how things worked out. You can already see off the jump the value of the primary residence increased dramatically. It's not uncommon for property value to shoot up, considering, just the city, the location where I live at. The property value is currently $654,000. We owe $425,000 on it. That gives us an overall net worth on that particular asset at $229,000. Rental property number one, we sold rental property number one. We paid off the mortgage on it, so that's zeros across the board. It's not worth anything. We don't owe anything on it. That's zeros across the board. Property number two, which is a non-rental property, I essentially left that property in the land assessed at the same value that it was in the beginning of the year. I didn't go and change it. I'm sure that property value has went up, but I wanted to just kind of leave those numbers where they are because I don't plan on selling those or doing anything with them right now. So that property was valued at $150,000. Don't owe anything on it. So again, $150,000 there. The land valued at $40,000. Own it outright. Now let's go down to the retirement and savings category. Here's where we made a lot of growth at. Let's talk about this for a minute. Now, a lot of you already know, and I think I mentioned it in other videos. I maybe mentioned it earlier. We typically combine our retirement and savings account to just give you all one round number. In the beginning of the year, we were looking at $255,000 in those accounts. Now we are looking at $392,000 in savings and retirement. And a lot of that is just from compounding interest. I'll do a video later on to show you how some of those accounts grew without me even making a contribution into them. But let's think about it realistically. Of the $392,000 that we have in our retirement and savings account, about 40 is stashed away to account for potential taxes on the sale of the rental property. But even without that, if we were to take that amount out, we still made significant progress. We continued our contributions. We hit our annual percentage return goal for our investments that we had planned. And I'm not one of those people who are looking to make 40 or 50% in crypto. If I can get anything over 10% as it relates to my retirement, that's great. Hey, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be ecstatic about that. With the retirement account, that's just our combined investment accounts. So that's everything investment, but I would say the vast majority of that is in a retirement account that we can't touch until we older and greater than what I am right now. With the vehicles, we left those numbers the same. My vehicle, $17,000. The wifey's vehicle, $6,000. My motorcycle at $3,000. Right now, we're currently working on student loan number one that you can see at the bottom, near the bottom of the screen. I think that was $102,000 when we first checked in and tapped in and took a look back in March, I think it was, or something to that effect. Now that balance is down to $46,000. Don't forget we rounded up or down depending what the exact numbers were. And student loan number two, which is my wife's student loan, which we aren't really worried about right now, that's at $130,000. So when we scroll over and take a look, our total assets are $1,262,000. Our total liabilities are $601,000 to give us a net worth of $661,000. So between essentially the beginning of the year, from March until December 2021, the end of the year, we were able to increase our net worth by $229,000. So that is, just a great, net worth is just assets over liabilities. I think we were, that was great. I think we were able to do an outstanding job with our finances and what we did with our money in 2021. Once I took a look at the net worth, now it's giving me a little bit of granularity, a little bit of clarity with regard to what I want the family's financial goals to be for calendar year 2022. I think I know off the top. I'll talk about it a little later, a later video, maybe a week or so from now, whenever I have time to sit down and hash out the numbers. But that's pretty much it. Hey, $661,000. $661,000 is where our net worth is right now. We're past that halfway point, trying to achieve millionaire status. We'll get there. Just got to be patient. Hopefully, if we can continue to see gains in the market and in property, that net worth will rise. We'll continue to invest in our retirement accounts, and we'll continue to attack and chop off the debt. Because once we get those student loans out the way, I mean, that's a wrap. That's the end of hey, that's gonna be a whole completely different ball game. That's gonna be a whole completely different YouTube channel of stuff I gotta talk about. Now, remember, we all have to start from somewhere. I remember the days when our net worth was in the negative. I remember when we first got out of the negatives. I remember when we first got our net worth to $10,000. $20,000. So it's a process. It takes time. You have to pay attention to detail with what you want to do. That's all we have for you. My net worth grew by $229,000 this calendar year. From the time that we last reported it to we reporting it right now. So I appreciate it. I wish everybody a happy 2022. Much peace, much blessings. I want everybody to be prosperous, have those goals lined up so you can knock them out. Y'all take care. I love y'all. Peace.